So one thing that's been on my mind a lot recently is this mindset of work hard, play hard, and this is something that you see in the movies, and you see in what's the example that comes to mind? The example that comes to mind when I think of work hard, play hard is Wolf of Wall Street. Now, this is a obviously very exaggerated, based on a true story, but very fictitious example of what work hard, play hard might look like. You've got these really jacked up sales guys, and there's that one scene where we got Leonardo DiCaprio coming out of the house, and he's speaking to the camera about all these different drugs that he's doing for different reasons. And then he goes into work and he's making a ton of money, and then he's on a yacht and he's throwing money off, and it's this big overhyped thing, and it's obviously it's a movie, and it's pretty awesome. But the reality is, I do think there is some truth to this mindset, and that's what I want to talk about in today's video. So I personally believe that if you're going to run your own business, you need to obviously you need to work hard. And I think for a long time I sort of had this mindset where the more disciplined that you are, the more rigid on your schedule that you are, the more you are doing the exact same things every day, whether that's eating the same things, or waking up at a certain time, or going to the gym at a certain time, or following some sort of a strict regimented gym routine, or whatever, some sort of a protocol. The more you're able to actually do that, the better your overall results are going to be. You're going to get more fit quicker. You're going to be healthier. You're going to be more mentally clear, and you'll see those results in your work. And as a result, your whole life will improve, right? This is sort of what I used to think. And I sort of, I still do think that there is value in a routine. Obviously, I think, I'm not going to sit here and say there's not, but I think that if I were to teach to my kid, right? If I had a child, and I were teaching them, okay, this is the mentality that you should think about living by. Obviously, I would want my kid to think for themselves, but this is sort of, I think, what I would teach. And I mean, maybe this is obvious to say, maybe this is cliche advice, but life is about balance. And the thing, what I really think about this is, you should have routines in your life that you sort of fall back to. But if you get out of that routine because life is life and it just sort of happens, and you wind up not being able to stay in a certain routine, you shouldn't just beat yourself up for that. Because I think, I don't know if you can relate to this. I've been there so many times where there's a routine that I set and I fall out of it, and I get angry at myself, and I wonder, I start thinking, oh, I'm not good enough. Why can't I get into this routine? Where the reality here is, the routine actually doesn't make you as good as you think you're going to really be. In other words, if I go to the gym every single day at the same time, and I wake up really early and I go to the gym immediately, and I have this whole routine that, you think it sounds really good on paper, and you do it for enough time, it doesn't actually have that much of a result. And obviously, I think that it does. Obviously, it depends on the routine. I think that there is, again, a tremendous amount of value in just building up discipline in your life and having a routine. If you want to do great things, I think it's going to require a tremendous amount of discipline. But you need to also have balance in your life. You need to also be able to say, hey, this isn't a video game. This is not, video game is not even a good example here. This is real life. This is real life. And I think it actually, what the stronger person is able to do, right? You have two different people. One person's in a routine and he follows everything perfectly, and the other guy doesn't follow everything perfectly. The person of those two, the stronger person is the person who actually can not follow a routine and still just get the same things done, or for the most part, get the same things done. And the stronger person is actually able to have time in his life to spin a bunch of plates and balance a bunch of different things, and understand that, hey, this is real life, and you're going to get knocked off your routine a lot, and that's how it's going to go. And you need to accept that. And instead just learn how to roll with the punches. That is what an actually strong person would do. Not the other way around, where without your routine, you're useless. This used to be me, where it's like, oh my God, I haven't worked out yet today. I'm going to be in a bad mood. It's like, no, at this stage in the game, I'm kind of going to the gym when I think I'm gonna have a good workout. When I actually, I'm not forcing myself to go the first thing in the morning anymore. And I'm not, forcing myself to wake up at a certain time if I happen to have had a late night the night before. And waking up at that time means I had 3 hours of sleep or 4 hours of sleep. That's ridiculous. Now, again, I think that there's it's important to have seasons in your life where you have these periods of intense discipline, so it reinstills that discipline in your mind, and overall you still get all your things done. Overall, you're still going to the gym, you are still doing all the work that you need to do, but the schedule might just be haphazard, and again, you're sort of let's go back to that Wolf of Wall Street example. I think the awesome thing about that, again, I know it's a movie, it's not necessarily realistic, but I think the awesome thing about it is he's able to be this, really high achieving business person, but he still parties harder than like a frat guy or something, and he's still he's able to do it all. He's able to do both, and is that sustainable? Of course not. In the movie, it's a movie. It's not necessarily going to be sustainable if you're doing a ton of drugs and stuff. I'm not saying go do that. It's more so find a lifestyle that is going to be sustainable in terms of your discipline and the things that you need to do, and having certain routines and certain rituals that you know are going to make you a better person. And then also have that be combined with all of the other things in life which you need to make time for, such as friends and family, and going out on the weekends, and whatever else it is that you need to do, and just getting out in nature and just enjoying life, and again, not being so tied down to this rigid routine. It's not real life. It's not. And the thing is, I think the longer you think that just having blind discipline for the sake of discipline is going to actually fix your life and solve your problems, and that's the answer you need, you're actually lying to yourself. The thing that you actually probably need is, again, strength to live a life that has tons of everything in it, and you're able to roll with the punches, and you're able to get things done. And something I've been talking about, to add to this, something I've been talking about with some friends recently is the ability to switch tasks. You're at 1 hour of the day doing something that is very disciplined. Let's say you get up, you have a cup of coffee, and you lock in for a few hours, you get a bunch of things done, and then you have something that's a commitment with friends, and you're able to disassociate from your work, disengage work, and actually go and be present in that scenario. That's something that I personally I recognize that I need to work on, because I'm always thinking about work. I'm always thinking about what's the next thing. And I think that to get the most out of life, you need to be able to be multifaceted and not just be this super rigid person. The rigid person. Think about what the word rigid means. Rigid means you're not bendable. It's if you're rigid, as soon as some stress happens, you're gonna break, and that's not good. You need to be flexible, and you need to be able to adapt to your environment, adapt to if you haven't had the perfect amount of sleep, adapt to whether you've had the right things to eat, or adapt to whether or not the things that you planned on happening are actually going as planned. A really strong person, the true strong individual, would be able to adapt to those circumstances. So that's all for today's video. I think that pretty much gets the message across. If you guys made it this far, thank you guys so much for watching. Send this video to a friend who needs to hear it, or might find it interesting. Drop down in the comments what other topics you want me to talk about. I guess I didn't really relate this video back to content creation. I try to with all of them, but if you're a content creator, I'm sure you probably deal with similar life balance struggles. So hopefully you got value from this video. That's all for now. Thanks so much for watching. Peace, guys.